myself, Ghost Data Media. I helped make this little game here for Team Fusion's 30-minute game contest. So I'm going to be talking quite a bit about the process of what went into it, what I did right, what I did wrong, what I definitely did wrong, and basically it's going to be a post-mortem, how it all came to be. First off, the game itself. As soon as I heard about this contest, what I normally do in like game jams or when I'm doing them whatnot is think about what kind of game I want to make, no matter like the theme. Personally, it helps me be extra hyped for the type of game I'm making. A really good sense of motivation, because you don't want to start on a project and be like, yeah, but I'm just not feeling it or having fun with it, just for the sake of the contest. Oh, real quick, just how the story of the game starts off with a bit of blurb there I made up in like 5 minutes, just so the characters have a reason for fighting these monsters or whatever. It wasn't important, but I figured like it just had to be there. So I made sure to have that there real quick. It takes long to make like a quick menu, especially when you have the assets already. Adding a global value whenever you beat the game, the title screen will change, because that makes no sense to like to beat the game and then you have this looming kind of title screen happening. So yeah, I didn't place where the U went. Looks a bit crunchy. I think it's because I'm just working with a weird resolution. In fact, the reason the game screen is 1920 by 1080 is just so that the game kind of scrolls. I knew the game was going to be like on a single screen, but I think it's a lot more interesting, or it feels a bit bigger whenever you have some scrolling room. Whenever I do go back, quote unquote, finish the game, which is something I really would love to do, I'm going to, make it a bit bigger to cover more area. While they're being dropped in, I guess I'll talk about the characters. The Squire slash Knight was just a generic kind of character made just for this game. The Star Child actually comes from another game. Me and Selvin, by the way, shout out to Selvin, our lead artist in Ghost Data Media, and my fiance. Yeah, thank you so much for making all these assets while I was busy doing other stuff at the time. Holidays kept us busy. That aside, though, yeah, back to the character, the Star Child. We made them in another game jam we had worked on, and it was a really cool game where you work with this ghost platforming and whatnot. But it sucks they didn't completely make it into the game. They had to get cut, sadly. We'll add them in sometime at a later date, but of course they didn't make it in time for the contest. Neither did the third character we worked on. That aside, more into the technical stuff, they were all created in Clip Studio Paint based off of some sketches I did. I also ended up animating them within Clip Studio Paint, pretty cool software that you don't have to pay monthly for. Okay, while this is coming up, I want to talk about what I'm setting up here. What this basically is that I'm playing around with the pick and count feature, or at least that's what I'm setting up. I'm setting that up, and I want to say special thanks to the game for answering my question under the 30-minute contest video. Asked like, hey, is there any way like we can have assets already put into the game somehow? And they said, yeah, if you put it in like a library, then you can just drag it in. And I'm very thankful for that, because I got quite ambitious with this and had so many assets and it was a detriment into the game, and probably its saving grace. We put, you know, all the works into it in terms of having fully hand-drawn animated characters, enemies, and assets, minus the floor and the walls, of course. We're gonna do like hand draw those fully textured with overgrowth and whatnot, but you know, I've decided to not do that as we were getting pretty big on assets as it was. Alright, setting up the UI and win loose screens at the moment. Gonna get into those conditions later. Yeah, for those of you probably already guessed, this was inspired by old school arcade game called Gauntlet. Or if you're not familiar with that, then Diablo. But Gauntlet was the original Diablo. Changed my mind. If we were really gonna to go all out, it would have had voiceovers for a character that needs food badly, or you know, introduce a death-like character in the game. Almost did with a Phantom, but I figured we wouldn't have time. Finish their programming within the 30 minutes. Alright, so minutes in, finally time for some coding. Took me long enough, but that's besides the point. I told myself I wasn't gonna bother naming traditions and whatnot, but I figured in the long run it would save me from having to gloss over every single condition trying to find the right one, see what went wrong where. I decided to start, for some reason, with the pick and count condition earlier, so that the spawner for the enemies will be random every time the frame reloads. I did consider having 2 per round / level, but I decided against it because I didn't want it to be too hard. Instead, as you can probably see here, I had decided to make the game slightly more difficult by changing amount of enemies that spawn. 2 seconds for the slime, every 3 seconds for the ghost, but it depends on what level you're on. Oh, okay, now I finally get to talk about this. So, the wall borders are actually active objects, and the 4 corners of them, each different direction is a different design for the overall layout. And so, you know, I could start a frame, point to a different direction, and it'll be right every time. The only thing is though, I think I might have overlooked the design font. You'll see it partway through the video. There is a way to soft lock yourself into the game, and I have no way of you know, fixing that condition like as of now within the contest. That's if I didn't do it already. I forget if I did already fix it, but yeah. Another thing I decided to have set up is WASD keys, because if I wasn't going to be able to get controller support in on time, I was at least going to have a comfortable playstyle for this kind of game. So WASD for movement and the E button to launch attacks, which I do believe is comfortable. I like it myself. I could play the game completely with one hand, and that feels comfortable to say the least for a small game like this. Okay, this scoring thing I set up, I had, there was no high score, like, screen at the end of all this. The reason I put that in was because, beating enemies is one thing, seeing numbers go up whenever you beat them is just even more satisfying, and, like, that's the only reason why it's there, to give it a more arcadey feel. Other than that, I never meant to actually have a, high score system or anything like that whatsoever. I just thought it would be a cool thing to have in a, dungeon crawling game. So, yeah. At this point, my mind is overclocking itself in order to get all these features in. I love how fast I was able to drag and drop in the enemies for the game and work on their conditions, make sure they're destroyed and whatnot. And then what was next was the conditions for going to a new level. In the original Gauntlet, you would need to destroy all the spawners in the level before continuing. And since there's only one spawner, well, easy as pie. Using global values, I'll be able to keep track of, or have a counter keep track of, like, events as, like, even when the frame restarts, to give you a quote-unquote new level or next level. It gives you the illusion that you're going to another frame or something, or another level, but in reality it's just the same level but with the different counter on it, which is pretty intuitive and like keeps things fresh thanks to the randomness of the level remaking itself. Oh yes, the game over condition, one of the few conditions for this contest. What I basically did was just have a game over, text show up, and if you press any button, screen restarts. I was gonna have it harder by gluing you to the title screen, but decided that frustration wasn't worth it for a contest. I want to make sure that the sword slash thing didn't go through the walls, making the game way too easy. I'm glad I had remembered that. Also, the enemies won't be able to go through walls either. I don't remember if the ghosts are able to go through walls. I finally made it to where they don't. Maybe I should rethink that, because whenever I do go back to this game, I will definitely make it so that the ghosts go through walls. I think that, makes sense because they're ghosts. Yeah. Okay, the sound. I actually have a small library of sounds I use. One is from Click Team. Their website has resources, as well as a free sample RPG pack I got at some point. Here's a combination of both. You can see which ones are the songs and which ones are the sound effects from the Click Team library. You see me scrambling later because apparently I forgot to add a UN, or I think it was a defeat sound effect. I forget which one it was, but maybe it was both. No, I think I had a defeat one. Yeah, but I didn't have the a one for like winning, and I decided to leave both out because it just didn't make sense. I did not check the volume, so I'm sorry, headphone users, you won't hear it like how loud it is in this video. But yeah, some of the sounds are just a bit too much. And yes, it loops every time you beat the level. I know that's a bit annoying, but I had it thought of a way around that. So every time it restarts the frame, it restarts the music as well, which I hope isn't too annoying. If the levels were bigger, maybe that'd be more forgivable. Okay, first time testing out the game, and oof, okay, already kind of a bug going on there with the teleporter. I wasn't on the right frame, but it definitely was not working as it should. Another issue that I kind of skipped over, but I fixed later, was that it's whenever you bump into it, that it would teleport you. Like I find out here, like what happened? Oh, and it's soft lock. You see that? Whoops. I think I noticed that too, and fixed it hopefully. Yeah, teleport is visible, has to be visible. That way, when you destroy all of them, yeah, there it goes. Like the animation of the slimes. Simple defeat animation, but oop, now it's in a wall. And I was like, yep, nope, gotta move that. Yeah, I was finding a different problem every time I started it. It's like, should I put it up here? No, I'll run into the same problem. Why didn't I just hit Control Z on this? I don't know. Wait, what am I? Oh right, 5 minutes to go in the contest, and I realized that the score system wasn't working. I wasn't remembering the score every time I went to another frame. So what do I do? What's my solution? I make the score system based off a global value. That way it saves across frames. Um, yeah, that was smart. I think, but at the same time, I was cutting it very, very close. Okay, here's me trying to fix that issue with the level that I had saw earlier. I don't know why that still goes in 4 directions randomly. That won't fix any problem. Or God forbid, it still ends up soft locking the game. Okay, 1 minute to go in the contest, and stupid me thought that just bringing in the joystick to object, it would automatically still read the, directions of the movement, so the character could still move around. I thought, okay, if I just add the, you know, an attack, a way to attack, it'll still completely work. Nope, joystick to object, you still need to code in how the movement works for the character slash player one. I don't know why I tried doing this within a minute. Instead of one, fixing that freaking star that doesn't turn invisible off screen, or two, making sure that the win condition was properly in frame, because it is not. When you win the game, the condition is off screen and you can still see like the bottom half of it. And that is probably my biggest regret, and it's a glaring issue for anyone who's able to make it to the end. Um, yeah, and you don't even get to see any test gameplay. It's just me playing around with the joystick to object and The people, judges viewing this must be like, what was he thinking? With why even bother with that? And it's because I misremembered how the joystick 2 object worked. I thought it could automatically read directional input for a player whenever they had a controller plugged in. Oh, and I also tried naming the game last minute, which actually created the name of the game beforehand, but I still managed to misname it in the recording of the video. It is canonically the Cosmic Crucible, not the Cursed Crucible or anything like that. Overall, I had fun with the game, and I'd love to, build upon it later at some other point. Okay, I'm gonna share some fun facts about this build, even if it is a detriment to the final result of my game, but I just find it funny. Okay, one, you can still soft lock yourself in the game because the borders will lock you in, but if you just die, the level will reset itself and, hopefully get you out of that condition. Two, yes, the ghost can go through walls, which isn't a detriment. I just think that, my original idea that I was just talking about actually happened. I think that's cool. One thing that does happen that I am ashamed happens is that once you beat the game, you have to exit out of it to play it again, because I forgot to reset the global value back to 1 at the end of it, or at the title screen. So the game, you're just stuck like at the final win condition of the game at the end, and that is both funny and sad. Hindsight, yeah, make sure your win-lose conditions work a bit beyond that. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I hope y'all learned a lot from this post-mortem. I learned a lot myself, and next time I make a game of 30 minutes, I'll tone down the ambition a bit. Just a bit.